jump straight into it. So, what led you into hip hop, and where did your name Money B come from?
Um, I got into hip hop really hanging out with my older cousins, and to be honest with you, my parents were very musically inclined, and I don't mean by playing instruments, but they were always jamming out to whatever the latest, records were. So the record collection was always around, and then, you know, however old I was, 10 years old or 11, when Rapper's Delight came out, and I was hooked from there. To be honest with you, the name Money B, randomly I got from my cousin when I was like 13 years old. I used to break dance and write graffiti back in the day, and I was like, well, what should my name be? Should it be this or that? And he was like, Money B. I could have been Egyptian Kid, which was my breakdance name.
Wow. So you did breakdancing as a kid. Is that how you got introduced to hip hop?
Well, just the whole scene, like b-boying in general, the dancing, the tagging, the graffiti, the DJing, just everything about it. I just fell in love with.
Sure. So it was a big thing back in the, and it's still a big thing now. And we have it here back in the UK. It's such a big thing. Tagging trains, tagging buildings. It's such a big thing. Yeah. So I mean, tell us about the origins of Digital Underground. How do you get involved with Digital Underground?
Digital Underground was it was, Shock G's, grand idea. He originated the group, and he found his way to the Bay Area in California. That's where myself, DJ Fuse, Chop Master J, where we all were raised, basically, in the Bay Area. And kind of like through necessity, I would say, because Digital Underground actually existed before myself and DJ Fuse got into the group. They released one single, Underwater Rhymes with Your Life's a Cartoon. We weren't in the group when that first single independently was released. The first single that I appeared on and DJ Fuse was Do What You Like in 1989.
Such a big tune. So I wanted to ask you about that. When you hopped on that first single, Do What You Like, that success, what did it feel like at such a young age? What did that success feel like?
Well, it was crazy because shortly after we released that song, we did the video. The next thing I know, we were off to Europe.
Sure.
For 2 months. So we, because our distributor for Europe was I think it was BCM. Is that a
BCM rings a bell. It rings a bell.
Yeah. Right. So we were stationed in London, but our very first time really leaving the Bay Area to tour, we were in Europe for 2 months. This is before the Humpty Dance came out. It was all from the success of Do What You Like. We toured all of Europe.
Wow. And what was the reception?
And I was like, 20 years old.
Wow. What was the reception you guys got over here in London?
What was the reception?
Yeah.
It was huge. We like I said, we were bigger in Europe than we were in the States at the time.
Sure.
Like Do What You Like just took off. And we even got to Germany, and there was like this 3-day festival that was named after us. Wow. And we headlined, we didn't even know, over groups like EPMD, Queen Latifah, sure. 10 City, Daddy Freddie from back in the day. He's from out there. It was just like Soul to Soul. It was huge.
Sure. Wow. That's so crazy. It's so crazy for that one single as well to like literally sweep from the Bay Area right over here to the UK. That's so amazing at such a young age. It's awesome. I mean, you mentioned the Humpty Dance. Did that come straight after Do What You Like?
Yeah. So we were 89. We left. I think it was October or November of 89, and we were in Europe for like the winter months. December, January, February. We came home And I had a job. I went right back to work. I had a day job. And next thing I know, I'm listening to the radio and they were like, hey, that's your song. I was like, that is my song. And, it just, that song blew up here in the States, the Humpty Dance. And, shortly afterwards, we were gone again.
Oh, sure. I heard a thing about where the original that dance come from. Was it from the earthquake in '89? Is it San
Yeah,
Francisco?
that helped shape the movement of the dance, because we shot the video like a week after the earthquake in '89. So when we were trying to really come up with the dance that we were going to do in the video, we were inspired by the ground shaking and trying to hold on.
Yeah.
Keep
Sure.
your balance.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So, I mean, when I see footage of you mentioned Shock G, when I see footage of Shock G when he's performing on, even in interviews, it comes across. He puts the vibe out there, which is like a positive, fun, jokey vibe. What was it like working with Shock G?
With Shock G?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man, he is. He's a in my mind, a musical genius. One of my favorite producers. When he's on top of his thing, I don't think there's anyone better. He's just a true musician, and he's an artist to the core. He can draw. He did all of our record covers. He drew the art. He just comes up with these elaborate, almost like Marvel Comics. Like he created this universe that we existed in, and everybody was invited. It just depends on if you came along with us for the ride.
Sure. So, I mean, one of my favourite songs off the cassette version with your solo, "Sound of the Underground." I think your flow on that song, that particular song, was out of this world. It's an underrated song.
Oh, "Sound of the Underground."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that song came about by accident, really.
Okay.
We were at the studio, myself and DJ Fuse, and we were already a group, Raw Fusion, and we were waiting for Shock G to show up for the session, and we get the calls like, Shock's not going to make it. He's in jail, like he got arrested or something. So we had a session with, we just had an open session, and we were prepared to do whatever Shock was going to have us work on. But since he wasn't showing up and the session was already paid for, me and Fuse just decided to do one of our songs, and that was the one we did. And it did when it made it to it was cassette only, right?
Is it on the cassette? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Wow. You're flowing.
So that was the very first song that Fuse and I ever recorded by ourselves in a 24-track studio. And we mixed it, and we just made it sound as good as we knew how to. So that was our first solo experience in the studio.
Wow. That's absolutely amazing. What did Shock G make of that song when he come out of jail?
You know what? I don't know, but it made it to the album, so he didn't hate it. I don't think.
Around about that time, was your manager Adron Gregory? He brought in a young roadie, Tupac.
Say that again.
Around about the same time, Humpty Dance came out. You went on tour, and was it your manager Adron Gregory brought in Tupac?
Yes.
Yeah. What was
Tupac? Tupac was around even when we were doing Do What You Like. He was in another group, but he was signed to Adron Gregory. So he actually experienced the whole thing. He just wasn't traveling with us initially. He didn't go on his first tour until our first U.S. tour, which was after the Humpty Dance came out. And that was when Big Daddy came.
Sure. What was the young Tupac like back then?
Young and wild. He was crazy.
Yeah. I seen I saw something you post on Instagram. Was it yesterday or maybe the day before? The animation. I think it was back in. Was it the tour? Used. I think it was one of your first tours.
It was that first tour.
Right, he was trying to get into it with 10 guys. And you're
Yeah,
trying to diffuse the situation. That a
yeah,
kind of was that kind of a regular occurrence back then when you was on tour, or was that?
yeah. It would happen, you know. So Tupac, he just was real big on respect and being taken, you know, seriously. So, you know, anytime he felt like you weren't giving him the respect that he deserved, or trying to one up him or slight him in any way, he took issue with it. So, you
Sure.
know, one night it could be some guys in the crowd, you know, another night it could be the sound man for the tour who, you know, who messed up our sound in sound check and he wanted to approach him, you know, or a promoter that was doing something that he didn't think was right. He wanted to address it. And, you know, we had to kind of reel him in and say, like, you know, every battle isn't made to be fought right then and there, you
Sure.
know.
Sure.
But he always did it in his mind in our best interest, in the group's best interest. Meaning, so if he felt somebody was disrespecting me, he would approach them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, you're not going to disrespect my crew, or whatever. You know, he was very loyal to the people that he loved and cared about.
I think he took that throughout his career, didn't he? I think over the course of he stayed true
Say
to that.
what?
I think he took that. He took that value of staying true and staying loyal throughout his career. I think he stayed loyal to
Yeah, I mean,
everybody he cared about.
even to his detriment, right?
We talk about Tupac. You played yourself in the Tupac biopic, All Eyes on Me. How did you feel when you was filming it? When you was reliving all in great moments on tour?
It was a trip, you know,
Uh,
because I think that the set direction and the casting, it was dead on. You know what I mean? Because they made these places. Like, I remember being in these places that looked just like the places that we were at, like Starlight Studio. They recreated Starlight Studio. You know, when they had them in Marin City, it looked just like it. So they were really good at recreating, you know, these scenes and these moments and these locations and periods of time that were so instrumental in the development of Tupac.
would you change anything from the biopic, or would you just leave it at
I mean,
product?
from how it's produced and made.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the only thing, and this is just being me being petty. Nah. Two things. One, I wish that they would have kept the original version of the Humpty Dance in the song. I know for whatever reason they had to change it up a little bit. That's cool. But also, um, there was a scene, like a freestyle scene that we did. Like, it's supposed to be backstage with me, Tretch, Latifah, and Tupac, and it got cut from the movie.
Mhm.
And I thought, you know, they cut one of my scenes out. But other than that, man, I thought they did a really good job. Shout out to Benny Boom and LT Hutton. You know, Boom directed it. LT was executive producer, along with Morgan Creek. Um, you know, I thought they did a great job on that.
The story needed to be told, and I think you guys, including yourself, you did an amazing job.
Yeah, and it's a trip, you know, because it's hard to tell somebody's entire life in
Yeah.
2 hours, right?
Hmm. Sure.
And especially his, because he did so much that I know, you know, I heard the criticisms of people wanting it to be more in depth or to know things that they didn't know. But Tupac, he wore his life on his sleeve, you know, so he told you everything while it was in real time. So as opposed to, say, NWA, that was a little more sheltered, you know, we didn't find out things till later. As Tupac was living it, he was sharing his life with the world. So I don't, people who were expecting to get all of this information that they never knew, it just wasn't, there was no way for that to happen. The storyline actually followed an actual interview that Pac did, telling someone of his life and his thoughts.
Yes.
So, I don't know what else people could want or expect from that. I thought it was a good movie. And Dimitri's ship, he killed it.
Definitely did. Yeah, all eyes, all eyes on me shirt on.
Yeah, I gave that shirt to my dad. I don't even have one. Keep it. It's collector's item.
It is. It is. I'll pass it on to my son, for sure. Why was Digital Underground music not featured in any of Tupac's music from the Death Row era?
That's here's what people don't maybe fully grasp. Like, the whole Death Row era for Tupac was all of about 9 months. He just did so much in that time. So when they were in Los Angeles, I was still living in the Bay Area. Shock might even have been living on the East Coast at the time. So when Tupac got out, he was just like eager to just get as much music done and out. I spoke to him a few times. I didn't go down there, but you could tell that the vibe was like, he may have felt like he was on borrowed time, right? So he wanted to do as much as he could. So it wasn't like, hey, you guys can't be a part of it. He was just doing it. And whoever went down there to see him could be a part of it.
Yeah.
Me personally, I just chose not to put myself in that environment, because I've been hearing that the environment wasn't conducive to me. I'm more laid back, and I don't jump up to commands or follow a group of people at a whistle, or so I wouldn't have been able to move like that.
Sure. So going back,
I wish I would have got on some of that music, but it just didn't happen.
Going back to the Digital Underground age, the follow-up album, this is an EP release. You certainly brought the funk back. You brought the funk back to the public. You had a song on there called "Same Song." Can you tell us about how that came about?
Same song?
Yeah.
Well, as we were touring, I forget which tour it was, if it was the first or second or third, but Dan Aykroyd, was from the movie Nothing But Trouble. We got requested to be in the movie, and he wanted us to do a song for it. So we actually got this request. We knew we were doing a song for the movie while we were on tour, and while Tupac was a full-fledged member by then, but he hadn't been on any of the records because we were promoting Sex Packets, right? So Same Song was the first song that we recorded after we had been out to the world. That was the first song. When we came home for a break, before we went on the next tour, we recorded that EP. And so it was only right to give Pac some shine on that song. And I still have the cassette tape with just the instrumental and Shock telling us what he wanted us to do.
Wow. Do you remember the last conversation you had with Tupac?
Yeah, I do. The last real conversation, we were in a club, and he was just telling me about all the music that he had coming down the pipeline. So All Eyez on Me was just being released, and he was already telling me that he had like 7 other albums in the can done. And this was like, this was probably in the summer of 95. So I don't know when he was released from jail. Or I don't know if it was the summer of 95 or the summer of 96. All I know is when I saw him last, he had already had a bunch of music. He was like, man, I already did this many albums, because I was asking him why I wasn't on All Eyez on Me, right? But he was just saying I did that quick. I did all this other stuff.
Mhm.
I got more stuff. I'm definitely going to involve you guys. Let's just connect and stay in touch. We're going to do it.
Sure.
And and there's no reason to not believe that, because he was always, he didn't bite his tongue for anybody. He always spoke his truth. So when he told you something, like I don't ever recall him lying to me.
Sure.
That was when, even if it was painful to say, he would always tell you what he felt or what was really on his mind. So
You actually took Tupac to his first audition for his movie Juice.
mhm.
Tell me a bit more about that.
We went. Tretch was there. I was there. We were all reading for different parts or whatnot. But Tupac had, he was an actor. He went to
Mhm.
school for it. I didn't, and neither did Tretch. So we bombed horrifically, and Pac got it. We could tell as soon as he came out the room, they were cheering and clapping. And it was like, oh, he got this.
Wow. I mean, some people who was there actually said that was Tupac's persona. Tupac was playing himself. Would you go along with that? Would you agree? Some.
I'll say this: when I first read the script, I kind of thought the Bishop character kind of reminded me of Pac. So a lot of people believe that Pac got the role and then he started acting like Bishop, when in reality he was, he had a lot of those qualities. And so it was probably, Tupac, a great actor, but it was probably easy for him to draw emotions for that character, because he could probably relate to it
Sure.
in such a way that
Sure.
he just brought it to life.
Tell us more about your debut album.
You talking about Talking Dirty?
Yeah.
Man, it was a dope record. That was
Mhm.
actually it was the only album that was a Money B album.
Sure.
And it had some great features. It had who was on it? Mr. Mix from the Two Live Crew, of course, the whole Digital Underground crew. I had A Plus from Souls of Mischief, um, the Mechanics, Full Racks from the Mechanics, Mystic. I had the Outlaws on that album. Well, hold on, man. 1 second. I actually got a copy right here.
Oh wow.
Who's on this thing? Oh, Numbskull from the Loonies, Rankin Screw, Mystic, the Delinquents, Iconic Group from Oakland. I had a lot of good features and great songs. So this was definitely an album.
That's the one.
You can't see the light, but I got something rare that you don't have. You ever seen this before?
No, never.
Money B, Guest Shots.
Wow. Is that unreleased?
It's like a real. It was only released on the internet, and it was like basically, how the Grateful Dead, they have Deadheads.
Mhm.
Well, we have a fan base. They call themselves the Noses, and they're like, but they're our true fans. They're actually like an extension of the group, and this was something they put together
Okay.
for us. And so it was something that really, I think I was only selling these on tour, on the road. So you probably would have to been at one of our shows to buy one of these. So maybe like maybe 100 or so were pressed up physically.
Very rare.
And we just, very rare. We sold them. Same thing as well, I got it. Funny. Was the Lost Files by Digital Underground,
Nice.
which is amazing. Like, this is online, but once again, they were I physically only made 100 copies of this CD. And we only sold it on the road. So if you have a physical copy, definitely this is that deal because these were unreleased songs that we never put out.
Well, that'd
And
be collector's items then. Definitely
say
collectors.
what?
They'll be collector's items.
Yeah, if you have a physical copy of it, you definitely want to hold on to it. Like
Sure.
somehow the music got leaked online, and then if you look up Digital Underground, it's noted as being an official release, but it was never an official release. You know, even we just called it Low Butter Records because that was a nickname for my brother.
Sure.
I just called it.
There's some gems on them CDs.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
like well, the guest shots is really a compilation of songs that I did with other groups and other people.
Okay.
But the Lost Files was actually unreleased Digital Underground music that never came out, and very rare, either very rare or was never released officially. So
you'll have a lot of fans googling this now. You'll have a lot of fans googling it and trying to find these gems.
yeah, you should be able to find this like musically.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it shouldn't be like I don't know who's if you find it, you know, maybe you could find it as like a raw file or something that you can download for free.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody should be selling this because it's my damn album. But I'm sure if you go on YouTube, I'm sure people have posted it, so you can find it out there. Just type in Digital Underground Lost Files. Wikipedia will give you the titles of the songs, and then you just look it up. But
is there anywhere you can buy that
here,
off yourself? Is there anywhere the fans can buy that off? Is there anywhere the fans can buy that off yourself?
Yeah. Someone holler at me. I'll put something together, package, because the music is to be shared. So I'd sell it. Yep.
Definitely. So
I'll put it together with the cover and everything.
Wow. Moving on, you've actually got your own show. They're going way back, Joe. It's a pretty dope show. I've listened since was it 2013, 2014? You first brought that show.
Yep.
I've listened to many of your shows. So, what inspired you to do radio and interviews?
Said it. What inspired me to do?
What inspired you to get into the radio and interview type?
Well, a friend of mine. Shout out to Danger One. I would always tell him stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like the animated one that you watched on my thing. Like stories like that, or every time, he'd bring up somebody, I'd be like, yeah, I know Big Daddy Kane. I remember one time we did this, we did that. And he's like, bro, you need to start a podcast and just tell these stories because you know everybody and you got these crazy, funny stories that you've done. You have a story for every artist that I've talked to you about. And so he convinced me to try it as a podcast. I did it. So I really started in 2008 as like an audio podcast that I used to upload on this thing called Podomatic. So I was doing podcasts before everybody too. That's what I'm saying. Like I was ahead of my time with everything. And I did that up until maybe like 2011 or 2012. Then I stopped because of personal family reasons. And then I started back in 2013, but on a streaming platform like this.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first time I did it with video.
Yeah.
And even then, I still did it sort of like a radio show kind of thing where I would have breaks and then I played music in between. And then like 2014, 2015 is when I really kind of settled into the format that I use now, where it's just strictly a streaming podcast of interviews, and that's it.
Sure. I mean, the progression of this show, like you say, it's been great to see, great to watch the progression of the show. Even in the UK, myself watches it, a few of my mates watch it, and my brother's mad on it. So it's a big thing over here in the UK to watch yourself bringing back these old school stories with these amazing guests. Who's your favorite guest you've had on it? Want to know?
My favorite guest, that's a good one. I think, you know what? I liked when I had Skee-Lo on the show when he was live in the studio and we were seeing who was taller, who was a little bit taller. Go back and watch that one. I think that was like from 2015 or something like that, 2016. It's on the YouTube channel. Also, Egyptian Lover was a good one. He bought his drum machine and he played it, and I, was freestyling and rapping over his live beat. So those were a couple of my favorites. More recently, I enjoyed the Big Daddy Kane that I did on IG Live.
Okay.
I think it might be on the channel. If not, I'll have to put that up soon. That was a good one. What was your favorite?
Corrupt. Like the one with Corrupt. Yeah.
Okay. And then I had one where with Corrupt's brother.
Okay.
And Roscoe. Right. And Crazy Bone came in and started rapping. I get around because he lost the bet to me.
Okay. I've not watched that one.
You can check that out too.
Right, definitely check that one out. Definitely check. But yeah, your show is amazing. It really is. It's great to hear the stories from the golden age of hip hop. But what's your take on hip hop these days? Yeah, and if you do listen to hip hop, the newer hip hop, who's your favorite artist? Who you listen to?
Of the newer artists?
Yeah.
Well, I actually manage an artist. His name is Lil Mikey TMB. He's dope. I like Lil Baby.
Lil Baby, yeah, definitely.
I like Lil Baby. I even like Da Baby. I think he's dope. Of course, Kendrick, J. Cole.
Are you working on any music now? Any projects for yourself?
Yeah, actually, myself and Young Hump. Young Hump is the newest member of Digital Underground. Right. Chose by the nose, handpicked by Shock G.
I was going to ask you about Young Hump.
Yeah, we're the touring configuration of Digital Underground currently, and Young Hump is a dope MC, and we put some music together. We actually did it. We were going to drop it right before the pandemic hit, and it did, and we kind of sat on it. So this is music that we've had like over a year, 2 years old, but still, banging. Like, quality music is timeless, right? So definitely gonna get some of that stuff out.
Young Hump played Shock G in the All Eyez on Me movie.
Yeah.
What a job he did.
Amazing.
Yeah, what a job he did.
He did. He was dope.
When the pandemic's over, hopefully it's over. Fingers crossed. Very soon. When you say touring, will you take it on the road, maybe overseas or?
Yeah, I mean, right before the pandemic hit, or no, I'll take that back. So in spring of 2019, we were in Europe, but we were in we did like Budapest, Finland, and the Netherlands, and one more place. Where did we go? Sweden, right? Wow. But there were talks of us coming back over for a little further west, UK and stuff. And so I mean, we definitely have to get out there when everything is safe to do so. And we actually had a scheduled Canadian tour right before the thing hit. Really? So that was a trip as well.
Wow.
We almost left to go to Canada, and probably if we had, we might have got stuck.
Just before I let you go, Money B, where can people find you if they want to hit you up at, merchandise or ask you anything about your music?
You want to pick up your Digital Underground merchandise at digitalundergroundtshirts.com or dumerch.com. That's DU like Digital Underground merch, MERCH merch.com. dumerch.com. Get your Digital Underground, officially licensed Digital Underground gear. Very soon I'm gonna have where you can download digitally exclusively from the site. These type of kind. If you want to get that exclusive. But some people don't even have Talking Dirty out. And I can go on and on. It's like you'll get the music first there as well. But if you just want to know what's going on, you follow me on IG or Twitter at MoneyB69.